Welcome to the August Fire Chiefs video message. This month, we're talking about data. Data, how we put it into our system, and then how we get it out of our system. Lucy Song is my guest. Lucy, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Chief, for having me.
So, a lot of people don't understand what our data consists of. More specifically, they know that they do Firehouse reports, Fire App reports now, EPCR data, stuff's in CAD, and those are actually different chunks or different segments, and there's a lot of blending that goes together and then a lot of output that comes from it. And the idea came up, and thank you for joining me, about talking about our data. So can you tell me what your main focus is in the IT section, and then we'll talk about the different sources of data.
Thank you so much, Chief, for inviting me, and I appreciate the opportunity. My major job is do the data collection and do the data analysis report. Basically, we generate report for operations, and we create all the data reports for the field people.
Right. So what is the main first source of our data? And then tell me how that funnels down and where it breaks apart and then where it gets back together again.
Oh yeah, so basically the source data is from 911 dispatch center, which is the CAD system.
Right.
And the CAD system data get pushed into our Fire App, which is a reporting system, and also pushed to the emails, was before called EPCR. This is another reporting system too for EMS officer fill out the patient report.
So this information starts in CAD, and then, as we'll talk about in a minute, it gets pushed into Fire App or pushed into State Bridge or for the EMEDS reporting, so that when the user is on the scene of the call, they pull up the incident on their tablet, it's auto-loading with
correct.
that information.
Yes.
But then after they fill out that information at the scene or back at the station, and they hit submit, then where does it go?
Oh, after the data collected from the both reporting system, and then the data goes to data warehouse.
So what is the data warehouse, and is that a software system itself, or is that kind of like a name of describing a lot of different things together?
The data warehouse is like a storage room to store the data.
Okay.
And it's very powerful tools. It's open source, open to public, and all the reports come from data warehouse.
So those that have been with us for a long time may remember the carbon paper EMS 100s or Fire 100s, the very old paper reports we did. And then that was replaced with Embers.
That's
and
correct.
then that was replaced with Firehouse.
Firehouse.
And then that was replaced with Fire App.
Fire
So
App.
what is Fire App built upon, or what backbone is Fire App using to collect the data, and why do we collect the data we do?
Oh, that's a good question. Fire App is developed by FS IT, which is by us, and it's based on National Fire Incident Reporting System. The Fire App is allowed fire personnel to file the incident and the unit report. And the Fire App was built about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so INFRS is the acronym there for the National Fire Incident Reporting, and that's where we, through the state of Maryland, all organizations, if have to report their data in certain formatting and certain data fields. So Fire App is developed by us because it allows us to do the data with the data what we want, and structure it where we want it, and require what we want where we want it, to be more specific than potentially a vendor solution. Now, what was the frequency of data going from CAD to Fire App?
We have an interface job that transfer CAD data from transfer CAD incident data from CAD into our Fire App. The job runs every minute.
Okay.
So it's real time.
So if the unit gets a call and then gets canceled very quickly and doesn't actually respond, it may take a minute to 2 minutes for that call to appear in Fire App if they're still sitting at the firehouse waiting to do their firehouse report. So there's a little bit of a late. Now, not everything goes from CAD to Fire App.
That's correct.
Can you give me an example of a unit that doesn't go into Fire App and doesn't produce a Fire App report?
Oh, yeah. For example, the notification unit, this do not require an instant unit report, so won't go to the Fire App. And also the test calls, the system calls, all those calls won't go to the Fire App.
So units like countywide full or countywide EMS or
and personal unit.
duty 5 or duty 3 or FEI notify or code enforcement notify.
Yeah.
They may be on the CAD screen, but they do not then move into Fire App because that's not a person. That's a notification MSIN/Everbridge triggering mechanism.
The interface, job very intelligent enough to exclude those units from interface.
So after they do the reporting in Fire App and then now it goes into data warehouse, how often does that happen and what happens when it gets put into the data warehouse? There's a lot of other data fields that actually gets added to that record.
That's correct.
So how does that work and what's the benefit of adding those other data fields that the user hasn't actually done?
Or the quality data filled out by instant commander is really important to data warehouse. So after we collect the data from Fire App, then there is a job in SQL Server called data replication job, transfer the Fire App data into our data warehouse every 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that you and I have worked over for probably about a decade now on is we look at a lot of data in different segments. We look at day and nights, weekends versus weekdays differently. Those are some of the examples. Can you give me another example or two of a data element that is tied into the Fire App record when it goes into the data warehouse that the user didn't automatically think about? So what I was thinking of is it's Wednesday, it's probably during the 8 o'clock hour right now, and it's during a weekday as an example. So those are 3 data points that are brought into the data warehouse record automatically because we do query for time of day. How many calls were dispatched during the 8 o'clock hour? We do query how many calls were dispatched on a Wednesday. If we're trying to figure out if we're having a curve in the middle of the week, or if we're having pretty much a baseline of call loads across all days of the week, we do compare Mondays to Fridays. Those are those types of data fields and that's automatically done by the data warehouse transfer, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
The data warehouse is pre-categorized and based on the operation performance and based on the request by the user. So we based on those requirements, we categorize those data by time of day, day of week, weekend, weekday.
Right.
Yeah, and so on. I often receive the request from fire operations, so I'm be able to very quickly return the data.
Right, and that's again when we're talking about where should we put a unit and how should we staff a unit. We want to know what time of day, day of week, activities.
Yeah.
Now, would it be accurate to describe the transfer of patient care data to be much more complicated than the transfer of the Fire App data? Because we're going from the state bridge to image trend and back and forth. How often is that interface completed, and and what specific information does not go into data warehouse reference patient reference EMS reporting?
Oh, that is a really good question. Yeah, another separate job in interface transfer data from CAD incident data into the state bridge. And the state, after transport into state bridge, then EMS officer fill out the patient online report. The report data then get replicated by image train. Image train then send the data to FRS data center. The replication between image train and FRS data center is done in very secured manner. So the job runs every 50 minutes.
Okay.
So, and also the sensitive patient information won't go to our data warehouse. And this is another job run between FRS data center to data warehouse. And we won't bring the sensitive information to the data warehouse.
And that's through HIPAA, through protected health information.
That's correct. Yeah.
All of the tenets of name, social security number,
birth date,
all the stuff that's PHI,
yes,
does not migrate into the data warehouse.
That's correct.
It is maintained in the PCR.
Yeah.
For that purpose.
Yeah.
And that's, again, we're looking at the categories of EMS calls. We're looking at the categories of equipment used, as well as the specific incident information, not anything pertaining to the patient itself. So that's why when that data comes in, it's not needed, nor is it appropriate for that information to be in the data warehouse in a source that's not as secure.
That's correct.
So we've talked about a lot of the data we get. So how do we do? What do we do with the data, and who do we share the data with?
Oh, we share data with MCFRs, alien MCFRs customers, and we also share the data with alien, like external customers. For example, the county stat. When
you talk about sharing with an MCFRS customer as well as county stat, we build a lot of crystal interfaces and crystal reports so that they're able to be run at any time, scheduled or on demand, with a few filter capabilities so that they can be run and replicated time and time again. But if there's an odd report or if there's a one-time request, usually they bring that request into operations and then into IT, and then IT, how do you usually format that data and then give it back out? What type of format is it usually offered back in?
Normally we send the user by Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they very like it.
Right. So what is Crystal Reports? I know we use it to get stuff, but how does people use it, and how do they go about getting to Crystal Reports?
They're getting the Crystal Report by go to ePortal, or by go to our quick links, like file operations, and Crystal Report. There's a link to bring them to our FRS Crystal Report website.
And Crystal's more a interface that the customer, the member, can use to click through. Do they want staffing data? Do they want LFRD data? Do they want incident data? And then, like I say, there's dozens and dozens of reports preloaded there that can be run by what station do you want it, what date range do you want it, what time of day, weekday or weekend, weeknight, and then that
rush hour.
And then that's processed through and can be exported as Excel or can be exported as PDFs.
Word file exported to. Yeah.
So a lot of people who get into that Crystal interface, and that's through the AD credentials, right?
That's correct.
A lot of people that get into the Crystal interface find such great value in what they want to do on a monthly or quarterly basis, they can do that. Additionally, the things that are in there that we require folks to use is missing EMEDS report, missing unit reports.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
All of those are in there as well, and because of the folks that we asked them to do, you have this list here. I haven't talked about the accreditation or the NFPA survey. What type of reports are there for those two focus areas?
The NFPA survey is for the National Fire
Protection
Association. They always ask the data by year. So we pre-build the CAN report based on the request from them every year. So we pre-build the data for them. It's based ask for the file information.
Well, and you brought up something we hadn't talked about is we always are dealing with what is a year. We deal with physical year or calendar year. A lot of our activities we process through using the FY, the physical year, in correlation with the county's July through June cycle. NFPA is an opposite example. Their requests are almost always tied to a calendar. They want to see 2016.
Yes.
And while it's still 365 days, if you compare two reports, C16 and F16, they're going to be statistically different.
Yeah, different.
Because of which 365 days.
Yeah, orange to apple.
And but there's this list on the screen shows a sampling of what type of reports are available on the Crystal interface. And then that bullet there about PAFLOR, IECS, and PCAP is another tie through that is out there available. And PAFLOR is the training recordation software that the Academy utilizes.
For training academic, yeah.
So, no doubt. What other data processes or what other activities does the IT section do that supports the MCFRS?
Yes, we do a lot. For example, telestaff, and also logistic, SBA.
Okay.
We support.
So one of the things that we've grown accustomed to Telestaff, or Kronos now, as the provider of that, but you all, Wayne, yourself, and others are the engineers behind the components there, and how that's interfacing, because a lot of the reports that Chief Cooper and Chief Kinsley work on are actually Crystal runs from the backside into Telestaff that talk about staffing and leave counts.
Yes.
One of the things that you all did recently was that casual leave calendar interface.
For next 30 days. Yeah.
And I think the field saw that as a great benefit, because now they could see what the leave availability was and the whatnot. One of the things that you mentioned was accountability, and I'm using that in the broadest sense because it used to be called Logistics Tracker and SCBA Tracker, and the meter stuff and the IT, or the docking stations for the meters, and the PosiTrack system. There's all kinds of intricate IT software packages that the big umbrella today would be logistics, between property and SCBA and telecom, as an example, and all of those are integrated together, and I know much time has been put together to support.
Yes.
As legacy software packages go off into the sunset, things had to be rewritten or revised, and some developers worked with, and some developers had passed the project away, and there's a great amount of work. There's also a lot that we do on the accreditation front.
That's correct.
We used to say response times, average response time. The average response time was this. We refined that. We worked on the fractile. So 90% fractile means that out of 100 calls to a specific data set.
Yes.
Okay, you're looking at how did we do to the 90th percent of that number?
Yeah, accumulated to 90%.
And it's different than the average because the average is in the middle. It's the 50.
50%.
90th fractile is much more encompassing and gives you a much more
true picture of the response
and a
time.
much more responsive point to say, what did it take?
Yes.
And one of the things that the accreditation reports drive us, which is really interesting, is availability and reliability. And I know that's been very difficult to structure.
Yes.
Can you describe what availability is, and then describe what the reliability is?
The availability data is like is based on the station, how many percentage the station responds to the calls. Reliability means how many percentage that the unit responds to the call and have to have on-send time.
Right.
So that's the different.
So we presume that most of the calls in Stations 1's area are answered by Engine 701 that we want the engine company to go to. And we want to know how many percent of the time did indeed the first due unit of the specific type go to the call. That means it was available and it went to the call. But then a reliability would be is if Engine 1 didn't go to the call, what was the time and how long did it take for someone else to get to that call? And that's a different measurement because now we're saying the normal unit or the unit that we would anticipate going to that call isn't available.
That's correct.
And we're going to have a lower reliability
percentage.
Number
than
an availability number.
That's correct.
And that's understandable once you work through the process and cycle it, but it's something that is, again, it's like that change from average to fractile. The availability to reliability is different. So
yes.
One of the things I want to say to everyone about the reporting is do good documentation. Fill out the forms. While you wonder why the system requires you to click here or click there, some of those are driven by infers. There's a requirement that you fill that out. Some of those are required by us. We want that data beyond what infers requires. But fill out that report because so much of what we do and so much of what we go forward justifying, requesting, and supporting resources is driven from the data. I'll not be specific with my example, but how many times did we use rescue tools, hydraulic rescue tools for auto extrication? If we ran a car accident and we used them, but we didn't click them that we used those tools, we don't have the recordation to say, we used the tools on all these calls. So it's very important that patient care reports and reporting of utilization of resources is done accurately. And so I thank everyone for doing that. But there's a lot of benefit that we do get from the backside.
That's true.
Of activities.
Yes.
So kudos to all the folks in the IT section and all the folks that support IT because there's definitely a few that wouldn't traditionally be thought of between EMS operations and then the IT training and the IT folks. Thank you for all that you do because it is great to be able to go click, 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 and the data comes out. Sometimes we have to sit and brainstorm what the data is we want, and we realize we have that data, we just have to structure it a little bit differently.
That's correct.
To get it to come out.
Yes, understand.
So I really appreciate you coming and joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for everything that people at POCAR and the IT
Wayne
folks,
and,
Wayne, Rich,
Torrell,
Torrell,
John.
and Kingsley as well.
Yeah.
What everyone is doing in the IT shop. Now, I think your question that you're bringing to me this week is, or this month, is IT related.
Yes.
So what's the question that you all brought up?
Okay, what is your opinion of future technology in firefighting?
So Technology has evolved. It continues to evolve. It goes faster and faster. Year after year, things are getting quickly developed. Things are getting made smaller and smaller. There's a couple different things that I talked about. I'll use the phrase telemetry and body monitoring. I believe that in the future we will have the ability through our turnout gear to have active and passive sensors embedded in their turnout gear to sense heat levels, to sense chemical levels. Right now, sure, we could do that. We could put on electrodes on the firefighter. We could put on temperature sensors on the firefighter. They could get all that suited up and then go into a training environment burn and measure all those things. But I foresee that being integrated into the turnout gear itself, maybe integrated into the station uniform component. Maybe, we used to had the Palm Pilots, but maybe a small electronic device that the firefighter, he or she wears in their pocket. Close enough to the body that it can do the body sensation, but also protected from the heat. And then, that little electronic pod transmitting to the SCBA that then transmits off and out to the incident command post. So I see that as definitely a path of increased technology, safety tool to the incident commander and to the firefighters wearing them. That's maybe on the fire front. On the communications front, we've gone from 30 years ago, what was a cell phone? 20 years ago, where cell phones were just being developed and they were the size of schedulers or the size of a portfolio, to the cell phones we have today. One of the things, and using the iPad in front of me here, is EMS is really moving forward and pushing, and I want us to see and have FaceTime or Skype capability with a hospital, with a doctor and a patient. Because as we worked through alternative approaches to EMS delivery, one of those does include having a full-time doctor, full-time physician assistant, as an example, at the 911 center. And if ambulance 799 goes to a call and believes the patient is appropriate and can get some advanced medical direction but doesn't need to go to the hospital, with their tablet, they can FaceTime the doctor, secure secure communication bridge so that they don't have PHI or HIPAA violations. But that messaging can occur. The doctor, who could physically see the patient through the technology, can then feel comfortable that he or she is assured that the patient's stability is warranted to not necessitate the transport. Some communities are already doing that, and I fully see that as another quick enhancement to technology and how that works along. But one of the things that I don't think will change is fires will still happen. We still will have to go to fires and emergencies, no matter how safe the automatic driving car is, or the intelligent car technology. We'll still have people defeat that technology. We'll still have car crashes.
That's true.
That will happen. We will still end up with emergencies that come because of human interaction. This picture here on the screen is a perfect example of what can create a huge problem. Why we have a picture of one light bulb socket supporting five light bulbs, and how that probably wouldn't pass the inspector's test, probably would generate a huge power draw, creating an overloaded circuit, creating a fire condition. Sure, those two socket light Ys that were intended to put two light bulbs in a socket for one. But this one I think has about 4 of those there, and looks like 5 light bulbs at 75 to 100 watts. That's a lot of power, and we will always have Darwin or folks that make the decisions and cause us to have incidents. So technology won't change that. We still will deal with that. But I think telemetry or RF on patient and provider monitoring will make a big difference and will be coming, as well as, like I said, advancements in medical and interfacing with advanced medicines from the scene. So
that's great.
Great question.
Great to hear.
And I'm sure there's other things that are out there that will pop up, and we will be amazed at why we didn't do it beforehand and what it is to this point now. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anything else to add?
I would like to take the opportunity to thank you all my co-workers, because without them, IT cannot be done anything. So, and thank you my boss Polka and the chief Steko. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate your response and your willingness to come on and talk about IT, because again, these videos are also intended to show people other parts of MCFRS. And this is a clear big part. Without the IT, we would be in trouble. We'd go back to paper forms and carbon paper. So thank you to Lucy for joining me today, and hopefully this information helps you understand why CAD, Fire App, CAD, State Bridge, EPCR, Image Trend, Data Warehouse, how that loops around and creates a path for information, how that information can be accessed through Crystal as well, how your role in putting that information into the records management is so critical. It's August, like I said. It's actually moving on, and we'll soon be into the school time process. Take time while the weather's still good. Get out there and enjoy the summertime. Always ensure that you're ready for the workday, standby, or duty period of time. Proper hydration, as well as proper approach to respectful, relevant, and professional activities while you're at the firehouse. Ensure you're ready for work. Take care. Until next month. Thank you.